US President Donald Trump is being investigated for possible violations of the Espionage Act. According to a search warrant, the FBI took 11 sets of classified files in a search of his home in Florida this week that allegedly contain top-secret material that could cause exceptionally grave damage to US national security. To discuss this, I'm now joined by political analyst at Curtin University, Professor Joe Siracusa. Professor, good to see you. How big are Donald Trump's problems here?
Good afternoon. Good to see you, too. Look, his problems are fairly significant, but I'm having a little trouble with some of these charges or some of these lines on the search warrant. I use a lot of declassified material for the many books I've written on presidential policy, foreign policy, and nuclear policy. And I can tell you, Danica, there aren't a whole lot of secrets in the United States. The job of the National Archivist, who's the record keeper, not a very good job, actually. It's poorly paid and underfunded, is to declassify records. So the Trump records, you and I wouldn't get for 20, 25 years. I mean, it takes that long to go through, and that's the normal time. And so the president, of course, like the Pope, can do anything he wants. He can declassify documents up until his last minute in office and make things available to people. But to suggest that he's harboring documents that are of vital importance in the United States, that doesn't make any sense. What I think is there's the president who's playing chicken with the Biden government, and that is he wanted them to overreach. Now, they've tried to reach him a couple of times. That is the Department of Justice. They were going to subpoena him, but that didn't work so well. But they did go to see him about returning these documents, which, by the way, were tipped off by an informant. Who's that? Disgruntled member of the family, the gardener, the maid, the pizza driver? I don't know. Somebody told the FBI. But and so anyway, the Biden government may have overreacted here. They raided his office. Now they like to say that it was just an execution search warrant. 30 people showed up and spent 9.5 hours in his residential premises in Mar-a-Lago. And that they brought a safecracker with them. They got into the safe as well. And they looked all over the place, including Melania's wardrobe, for God's sakes, the kitchen, the basement. And they're looking any place where you can put a box of information. They say they collected 11 of them. Now, these charges, particularly the Espionage Act or mutilating documents, I find slightly ridiculous, and they're not going to hold. And keep in mind, they've gone after this guy over 2 impeachments, the Mueller report, now January 6th. And so I think the Attorney General, who, by the way, is 7th in line to the American presidency in the succession line, I think he may have overreacted here because Trump knows he doesn't have anything that's going to send him to jail. But what he's done, of course, is built a groundswell among the Republican base, and there are a lot of independents and maybe Democrats. Now, Danica, Americans have a special place for the Second Amendment. About 50% claim they have the right to bear arms, but about 90% of Americans, they love the Fourth Amendment, which is freedom from unreasonable search and seizure, which all search warrants are based on. And a man's house is his castle. And you better have a pretty damn good reason for coming through the door with 30 FBI officers staying 9.5 hours and going through every drawer and cabinet in the place. I mean, that irritates a lot of people, and a lot of people who don't even like Donald Trump would come to his defense on that. So I'd say the president was playing chicken with the Biden administration, and the Attorney General jumped, and he's played right into Trump's hands in terms of the 2022 midterm elections and the 2024 things, because now he has the grievance that he wants.
So could this investigation possibly stop Donald Trump from running in 2024?
No, only an act of God will stop him from running. It's only poor health. Look, he's going to run just because he's ornery. But the really interesting thing, Nick, is this. If he does win a run, and he will win if he runs, he's only allowed 1 term. He can't go 2 terms because the Constitution limits him to 2 terms in office. He's already had 1. So he'd be a lame duck president the day he got into office. So that's a whole nother story. I mean, the issue there would be who would be his vice president and all the rest of it. But look, this is incredibly high drama. No one raids the home of president unless you have a good reason. And then when you get there and find out it's not a really very good reason, and this idea that he holds nuclear weapons material. Look, when the president leaves the office, his menus become classified information, everything, and whether it's secret, top secret, or classified or confidential. And that has to be declassified by the National Archivist. But for the archivist to go running to the Department of Justice and say there is a document missing, or some documents seem to be missing, or there seems to be something wrong, based on an informant. So the FBI rolled this entire project out based on the testimony of an informant. And I wouldn't doubt if it's not a disgruntled member of the Trump family who got shaken the wrong way or whatever it is. But it's incredibly high drama in the United States, and it's setting the parameters for the next election. And the Democrats, for their part, they only have 12 weeks to indict this guy on something to turn the 2022 elections around the midterms. But and I think Donald Trump is well on his way to becoming the 47th president of the United States.
All right. Well, there you go. And you're right, though. It is certainly high drama. Never a dull moment. Joe Siracusa, we have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Thank you.